Members of the South African Communist Party in Gauteng and civil society groups are staging a picket outside the State Capture Commission as President Ramaphosa gives testimony. The groups are calling for all those who are implicated in wrongdoing to be prosecuted.
He finds himself in a very difficult situation. Of course, even myself, I would have done the same. But we were grateful that he did not resign. He stayed and was then elected the president of the ANC to make sure that at least he can then assist the country in dealing with some of these very difficult challenges that we have heard from yesterday. And I must say that some of us are still shocked about certain things that the president said, particularly the depth of this corruption and the state capture has been. And we as the SACP, we've been saying all along that we were not wrong when we said that at that time that the president of the country then, President Zuma, must establish the State Commission of Inquiry on a state capture, because we realized that a lot of our people who were deployed in different spheres of government have been captured by this family of the Guptas, and we're happy that the president can reveal a lot of things to the commission, assisting the commission, and we're looking forward, of course, to the recommendations of the Deputy Chief Justice, so that those who are found on the wrong side of the law must be arrested, must be taken to prison, and we hope that the Hawks and the MPA will definitely implement the recommendation as instructed by this commission.
Our political editor, Mzwandile Mbeje, has been following proceedings at the State Capture Inquiry. Thanks very much for joining us, Mzwandile. So just give us an overview of what was being discussed today.
I am on standby. It's the president. It's fine. Go ahead.
Hi, Mzwandile. This is Nompumelelo in studio. Can you hear me? Please speak to us. Let us know what took place today at the State Capture Inquiry.
Nompumelelo.
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much, Nompumelelo. Yeah, no, I think you just got distracted there by the picture of the president. I think there's some book he was looking at. He has just concluded, at least until lunchtime, his evidence since he started at 9 this morning. Basically, what has been happening, Nompu, today was that I think the most important evidence that he has given so far happened much, much earlier, where really the issues of state security came into the fore. That's where he really got the opportunity to explain why he decided to take the intelligence ministry or the state security ministry into the presidency, because he basically said, so he needs to realign and streamline it. There have been a number of issues that have arisen in the state security. In fact, even the lapses during the July events where we saw people looting, but there was no one really in terms of the security forces who alerted the authorities. So he was quizzed on those issues to say how did it happen, and people who were responsible or who were in charge, someone like David Mahlobo, was part of the state security at the time, but he still rewarded him with the position. So he basically said he would wait for the recommendations to be finalized, then he can take action. The same thing about Arthur Fraser, who is at the correctional services. So those were the issues really that came up. And the other thing, Nombu, related to deployment, the deployment committee that is chaired by the deputy president. So they quizzed him, the legal team and the judge, to say, how come the deployment committee even speaks on issues of appointing the judges, because that is supposed to be independent. So that was very interesting. His answer was, well, not that they are recommending, but as a governing party, they want to make sure that the demographics, whether it's gender or it's race, is represented, because if you don't make a deliberate effort to transform the country, you may never have a transformation. But he made it clear that so they don't actively appoint, because anyway they cannot appoint. So that was one of the issues that is very important. Why is that so important? We know that in the next 2 months or so, if I'm not mistaken, the Chief Justice, Justice Mogoeng, is about to exit because he has reached his end in terms of the 12 years that is non-renewable. So clearly, this is of interest, and the person chairing this commission, we know, is one of those who may be earmarked for that position. So when you heard him being quizzed around those issues, you couldn't help but think, well, in the next few months, he has to make a very big decision in terms of appointing the Chief Justice. So those are some of the issues, Nombu, that the President dealt with. And of course, the general issues relating to the ANC, what did it do, pointing out to the landing of the Gupta plane, pointing out to the statements that someone like Mbalula said in the meeting that he had been told by the Guptas that he was going to be appointed. So remember, the President, he was not the President then, but he was part of the NEC. But when the Gupta plane landed, he was, I think, the Deputy President. So what is it that he did as part of the collective? So those were the issues. And basically he was saying, so you had to tread, I think, as a collective. And some of the answers, honestly, were not very convincing. So I guess that's part of being a politician. Sometimes when it's a bit too hard, you just answer politically.
Indeed. Mzwandile, you know, this issue about the treatment of the president, do you get the sense that he's been treated in the same way as other people who are on the stand, so to speak, or it really is with kid gloves?
Well, I know that the views are quite split on this one. I think the majority view is that he is being treated with kid gloves. Many people feel, if you look at what was happening yesterday and even today, so where the legal people, the advocates, do the most talking, and then people are asking, so yes, we understand they have to lay out the context in some areas, but it would seem in other instances that they end up doing the most talking, and someone who is supposed to come here and answer questions end up perhaps saying, well, I did not know about that, or I agree, or we should have done better. So clearly getting deprived of some of the answers really that he should be giving. So maybe it's the strategy of the commission, but I think the general view is that he's treated, well, maybe a bit with soft gloves.
And very quickly, Mzwandile, in terms of his testimony, when does it end?
In terms of what the commission had planned, was that it was going to be 2 days. He started yesterday, and then he's supposed to conclude today. But it will also depend, Nompumelele, on what, on whether they will be able to cover all areas. I mean, earlier on, I actually did hear the chairperson say, well, Mr. Pretorius, if then we are not able to conclude, we may perhaps conclude that tomorrow. So I don't know whether that was an indication that we may go as far as tomorrow, but in terms of it, it's set down for yesterday and today. So I think at around 4:30 or even 5, we should conclude. But if we don't, I guess perhaps they made a provision of tomorrow. But remember, he is the head of state. There are other responsibilities that he needs to discharge, and I don't think they would want the president to be in a commission for an extended number of days, because it may appear he may have neglected other responsibilities. But of course, we'll wait and see. We return after lunch at 2, and then clarification will just be there.
We'll be on you then. Thank you very much, my colleague there, Mzwandile Mbeje, the political editor here at SABC.